before I move on, you know, it's easy, I'm talking a little too much about them, but let's think about you too, about how much it's important for you to be needed. And let's put a real face on it about what happens to people's lives when they're needed. I do a lot of work as president of AEI. When we're doing work in a particular area, I like to talk to the people that we're affecting. Looking at a data set is not sufficient. So fairly recently, I was at a homeless shelter in New York City that has amazing outcomes because it's all of their outcomes are based on work. They take these guys and they've been in prison and they've been drug addicted and they're homeless and they've abandoned their families and it's just like the worst situation, the situation you can't really help. And they put them to work, sweeping the streets, and then they have minimum wage jobs and they learn skills and they have amazing outcomes. So people don't go back to prison very often and they don't go back and live on the streets very often. So I want to know what their success is all about. And I'm meeting these guys. And I meet this guy who he went to prison when he was 18 for murder, of all things. I mean, it was a weird thing. You know, he had smoked a lot of dope when he was in junior high and then went to harder drugs and he was running with a bad crowd. And one thing led to another and there was a robbery and somebody got killed and he went to prison. Okay. He gets out, by the grace of God, 22 years later, he's on parole when he's 40 and he's basically starting his life at 40. And I meet him, I see him 9 months after he's out of prison and off the streets, and he's working in this thing. He sweeps the streets for 3 months, then he gets a job at an exterminator agency. What fancy people call a dead-end job, but is not. It's a job, just like all of our jobs. And I ask him how his life is going, and he says, I'll show you. And he takes out his iPhone, which is pretty cool, but that's not the secret of happiness. But what he's showing me is he's got an email from his boss. And here's what it says. It says, emergency bed bug job, East 65th Street. I need you now. And I said, so what? He said, look at it again. He just said, I need you. That is the first time in my life anybody has said those words to me. That, my friends, is the source of meaning. You want to make people, you want to bring them into full citizenship, you want to give them happier lives, you want to permanently solve the moral problems of poverty. Make people needed.